This program was produced by American Reinsurance Company.
Hello, I'm Paul Underbitson, Chairman of American Reinsurance Company. The video you're about to see is the most comprehensive training package ever developed in the field of arson investigation. It provides a close-up view of one arson case from the moment the fire occurs through its investigation and culminating in a courtroom trial. This project was conceived by American Re's arson investigation specialist, Joe Toscano. Joe enlisted the help of some of the most well-respected members of the anti-arson community in the United States, including firefighters, police officers, forensic scientists, prosecutors, private attorneys, arson investigators, and insurance professionals. In fact, many of these experts appear in this video. Their participation underscores the importance of communication and cooperation among all those involved in the prevention of arson. We acknowledge their important contribution, and we thank you for watching.
Ralph, you're killing me here. You know, really. The tenant's angry at me because of all the problems that Lee caused her. Now I'm telling her she's got to move out for a couple of days. She's talking about a rent reduction here. You know, this building, it's cost me a lot more money than it's making me. You've got to work with me on this one job.
I'm already giving you my best numbers. You got water damage on the ceiling and most of one wall. I got to rip all that out. I got to put up new sheetrock, and then I got to paint. I need 2 days. It's going to be $600 labor plus materials.
All the work I send your way, and you can't work with me on this one? You know, how about $500 plus materials?
Larry, you send me that work because I already give you the best prices you can get. I got to pay my guy, and I got to eat too. 6 is what it is.
6 is robbery. Okay, look, 6, but you've got to do the job next week. She's moving out for a couple of days. I need it done on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Tuesday's too early. I can't make it.
Look, if you want this job, it's next week, Tuesday and Wednesday.
Dag, man, you just stole my new bike.
New Haven.
Hi, I want to report a house on fire
Where, ma'am?
on Sherman Avenue.
What number is Sherman Avenue?
I don't know. It's on the corner of Sherman and Edgewood Avenue.
Do you see flames or smoke?
I see smoke coming out the side windows.
Is the building occupied?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No,
What
I
is your
don't.
name?
Ellen Wright,
Okay, where do you live?
306 Sherman Avenue,
What is your telephone number?
218-5535.
218-5535?
Yes, it is.
Okay, we'll send someone right over.
Can you please send someone?
Yes, ma'am, we'll send someone right over.
Please hurry.
Okay.
Everybody go!
Sherman Avenue and Edgewood Avenue. This is reported construction fire. Repeating the fire location. 200 block on Sherman Avenue. Box number 620.
32 to New Haven.
New Haven on car 32. 99. Denise.
Yeah.
32 is requesting the fire investigative unit.
Okay, I have the number.
Okay.
What's the location?
209 Sherman Avenue. That's the corner of Sherman and Edgewood.
Any injuries?
I don't know, Vin. Why don't you call dispatch, get all the information that you can. And also, we're going to need the 911 callers.
High Communications, Detective Rachi. We're responding to 209 Sherman Avenue. Are there any injuries?
Do you live around here?
Yes, I do.
Are you familiar with most people around here?
Yes, I am.
So you notice if anybody out of the ordinary,
Right, anything
was on the
suspicious, I
building or
noticed
anything like that.
That's right.
Do you know if the people were home?
Not that I know of. All I saw was flames and stuff coming out the window, you know, the fire.
Okay.
And the activity of the fire engines and things coming down the street to come put this fire out.
Is there anybody else from the neighborhood who might have?
Yeah, right.
Have to hear from the neighbor?
Yeah, I live over there.
Okay.
Hey, Chief.
Hey, Chief.
How's it going?
Good, and yourself?
Okay.
What do we have here?
We got the first call about 9:40. Took us 3 minutes to get here. Upon arrival, they found a thick black smoke and a bright orange flame coming through this first floor side window.
Okay.
At engine 17, they brought a line through the back door. Engine 9 brought a line to the front door.
Okay.
Truck company 4 went to the roof to do ventilation. Now, engine 17, they were the first company on the scene. They found the back door open. It looks like the lock was forced.
Okay.
So you need to talk to Lieutenant Miller. He was on 17.
Okay.
Any injuries, Inspector?
There's no reported injuries, but we did evacuate 3 people from the second floor. Otherwise, the building's empty.
What does it look like inside, Chief?
They have heavy fire damage in the living room area.
Okay.
Also in the hallway leading to the first floor rear apartment. The second and third floor, they have smoke damage. The basement has water damage. By the way, there's the gas and the electricity shut off to the building.
All right, Chief, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape off the fire scene, and then I'm going to like to go in.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to the neighborhood.
Okay, good.
All right, Walter, you say you were coming up Edgewood when you saw the fire going?
Yeah, I was walking down Edgewood, and all I saw was a bunch of flames coming from this building right here.
Did you see anything suspicious? Anybody out of the ordinary coming
No,
from?
no.
Okay.
All I saw was flames, and I was just checking to see if there was anybody inside the building. And,
Okay.
I mean,
Officer Kelly, how you
Hey,
doing?
Detective Howard.
Good.
Walter, if you're available, can I speak to you later?
yeah, no problem.
Okay,
I'll
thank
be
you very
there.
much, sir.
Thanks a lot. Your car was the first responding unit to the
That's
fire?
right.
Okay. What time did you get here?
Approximately 9:50.
Okay. What did you see when you first got
When
here?
we first arrived, the first engine was on the scene already. They pretty much had everything all set. The firemen were out of the trucks, and they were laying down hose right by that side door. My partner took up a track position right over there, and I started interviewing people.
Oh, good. What I want to do is I want to do a neighborhood.
Okay.
I want to see if anyone's on the street before 9:30 this morning, looking for a delivery person, UPS, mail, anything you can find for them, okay?
All right, good. I'll get on it right now.
What's
new?
Pat? Good. How you doing?
How we
Talk to
doing?
the chief. He says that you were first in.
We were. Yeah, we were. Took a pacing in there, too.
And what you have when you got in there?
Well, I'll tell you, we came down, we were coming down Edgewood. I could see it blown out the windows. It was coming out the windows when we got here. Pulled up, took the hydrant on the corner, pulled up, took the 1.5 inches. Pat and I took an 1.5 inches. And we brought it up to the front stairs, and we took it right in through the kitchen.
You know, what was the position of the door when you got there?
The door was open. It was open there. The door was open.
Why don't we take a look?
Watch your step, man. Watch your step. It was hot. I tell you, it was hot. I'm getting over it. Came down here. The door was just about like it is now. Came here, gave it a push, and bang, we went in with the 1.5 inches.
Okay. We didn't do any of that damage there?
Didn't do any of that damage. It looks like it's been busted, but we didn't do it. I'm telling you, we didn't do it. Right. What I mean?
Okay. Do we have any odor of an accelerant?
I didn't smell it. I didn't
Nothing?
smell it. We put our stats on it. Todd, do you smell anything?
Okay. And then what did you do?
You work this area normally?
Yeah, I do.
Any previous problems with this building?
I've had calls of kids hanging out in the lot behind the house here, graffiti, broken windows, low-level stuff.
Anything else?
There was a report of a stolen car from in front of a house down the block here about a month or so ago.
We had a lot of fire in the back coming around. We had a lot of smoke up here. And had to stay low. It was hot. I'm telling you, it was hot.
Yep.
And we inched the inch and a half up here. This door was closed. We got around the corner. This door was closed. Came low. Had fire up above us over here. As a matter of fact, we had fire right here on the floor.
Do we have any combustibles in the hall?
There was nothing, just like it is now. Nothing here. We took the line. The fire was right here. Hotter than hell.
Mm-hmm.
Took the line, took it into the front room here. Took the line in, and it was ripping, Eddie.
All right, when you got in here, Lieutenant, could you tell me where you had the most fire?
The whole room, it was completely engulfed. It was completely engulfed. Fire everywhere.
Okay, when you pulled up, did you talk to anybody?
I didn't see anybody, didn't talk to anybody.
Was there any
Nothing-
occupants?
Upstairs, I don't know about upstairs. You had truck 4, you had engine 6 going upstairs. I don't know about anybody upstairs, but we knocked it down and we made a search of the first floor, but there's nobody here when we got here.
Get anything useful?
Actually, a couple of things. I spoke to an older woman, Mrs. Witherspoon. She lives in an apartment building, apartment number 6. Says she always sees young kids hanging out in the backyard. Says she can see them from her apartment window. She thinks they may have something to do with it. And also, I spoke to another neighbor, Mrs. Phillips, who lives down the street. She said she was walking to the corner grocery store when she thought she saw a white male, middle-aged, maybe wearing a red jacket near the house. She actually didn't see him come out, though. She said she was in the store for approximately 15 minutes, and when she came out, the fire was in progress. She also told me she remembers seeing a UPS man on the block at the same time.
Okay, you got names and addresses on these people?
Just on the 2 women, not on the UPS man.
Okay, put in a call to UPS. Confirm that there was someone working on the block today. If so, I want them back here as soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay. She said there was only one family in the fire?
Right by the Red Cross truck.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
JP.
What do you got?
Uniforms, I don't aware of any problems at the house recently. I talked to the second floor tenant. There's a girl in the apartment that burned. Tina Booker, she's about 20. I guess she moved in about 6 weeks ago. I asked about the owner of the building. They send the rent checks to Pine Street Realty. I'm checking that out through the computer so I can get some history on the building. One neighbor puts 2 individuals here prior to the fire, a white male pedestrian and a black male is a UPS carrier. I'm checking it out now. I still have to talk to the first caller. She's Ellen Wright. She lives over on Sherman Avenue, across the street. What do you have in say?
Okay, the layout here. The first engine company came in this door. Just inside this door here is the kitchen. To the right off the kitchen is a bathroom, and beyond that is a bedroom. There's a small hallway to the right of the bathroom, and it leads into the living room. The living room is where the fire occurred. There's quite a bit of damage. The room did flash over, and all the content and furniture is damaged. The fire vents out this window here. It's the only exterior damage that we have is right here. And the chief also told me that the door leading into the kitchen was forced open before the fire department arrived.
What do you think?
I think now we should call for the canine.
Jermaine, you say when you came out of the store, someone hit your bike?
Yes.
Did it damage your bike?
A little scratch, right?
Was there any damage on the car that hit the bike and took off?
No, not on the car.
All right, you said it was brown or yellow?
No, it was yellow, that's right.
Yeah, you sure?
Yellow.
Okay.
Sure. Very sure.
Did you get a registration plate on it?
No, I didn't get it.
No. Hey, do you know which direction it went?
Yes, it went left.
It went left. What, left on this street right here?
No, when it turned, all I saw it went straight, that's all.
All right, went straight down Edgewood then?
Yeah.
Okay, did you see it turn or just continue to go straight down?
That's all I saw, it went straight down.
Did you happen to see the operator? Was he white, black, Hispanic, male, female?
Kind. It was a male.
A male?
Yeah.
You know what race it was?
Yeah. So I think he was white.
White male? Okay, older, Younger?
Can't really tell. It was like
Really?
probably in his 30s.
Did you happen to notice if he had any facial hair, what type of clothing he was wearing?
Hi, this is Detective Rachi. Would you notify the state police and request a canine for 209 Sherman Avenue? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, Detective Rachi. Can I speak to you for a moment, please?
Certainly. What's up?
I just spoke to this neighborhood kid, Jermaine. He told me he saw a big yellow car he didn't recognize from the neighborhood parked in front of the grocery store.
Okay.
He was just inside the grocery store before the fire. He said the driver of the car sped away at a high rate of speed, but before he did that, he backed over and knocked over his bike.
Okay.
He didn't see the driver's face. He just saw his bike get knocked over. Right after that, people started yelling about the fire. So.
All right. What I want to do is I want to tape off that area where he said that the car was parked. Okay. Was a parent present when you talked to him?
No, they weren't.
All right, take him home. Make sure the parents knows that he's a witness and he's not a suspect.
Okay.
But make sure they know that he talked to us. Okay?
Sounds good.
Lieutenant, this window here, did the fire vent out this window or did you knock this window out?
Anything we got here and it was blown right out the window. We didn't touch that window, it blew by itself.
Okay, and how about these two windows here?
These two I had to take out. I had to vent these myself. It was so hot in there that I had to break these windows to get them out.
Thank you.
Okay?
There's one wall in there. There's a number of wires that are leading into one electrical receptacle. That has to be checked. The gas and the electricity to the whole building is shut off.
Okay, I don't see any problems with the search, but as far as the evidence, I'd like to keep the chain as short as possible. One man collecting and photographing, the second man documenting. Who's going to handle that?
I'll take care of that. Louis, will you give me a hand with that?
Sure, no problem.
All right, I got a little building history. Mr. Larry Puckett, he owes about 2 years back taxes. He's got a couple of building code violations. He's had some work done here. I need to talk to a couple of contractors.
Any information yet on the occupant?
No, I'm hoping the owner will help me on that. Uniforms talked to a woman. She lived in the building across the street, apartment number 6. She's got a good view to the scene here. I need to take the opportunity to talk to her. What about you?
I'm going to start inside. Okay, Louis, this is the door that I was talking to you about. This is the door that the first in company brought the line in. When they got up to this point, they noticed that this damage was done and that there was a forced entry before they got here.
All right. This here looks fresh, Eddie.
Mm-hmm. What about here? Does this look like blood to you?
Let me see. Yeah, I think so.
And, a boot print?
Yeah, I see it right there. Yeah.
Okay, and there's the remains of the lock.
Uh-huh.
Would you photograph this before we go any further?
All right. Okay, hold on a second. Okay.
All right, Lou, the engine company came in this way here through the kitchen. You can see the heat and the smoke.
I see it.
They came down here.
This match over here, is that fresh?
Let me check. This match was here before the fire. You could see the protected area.
All right.
Why don't you photograph it?
All right.
Over here.
Okay, let me put a number on it. Shot of it. Okay.
This door here was closed. This bedroom door here was closed. And then they proceeded down the small hallway here.
Yeah.
We have a pour pattern here.
I see it.
Why don't we mark it?
All right.
Photograph it.
Okay.
And run the dog through.
All right. Let me put a number on it and photograph this thing.
And then when we're through with that,
All right.
we're going to take the whole carpet.
All right. Wait a minute. Okay, hold on a second.
Right. Now the engine company proceeded down this hallway here into the living room.
All right.
They have fire on the floor.
Yeah.
They come into this room. Lieutenant Miller states that this room was fully involved. The fire vented out this window here.
All right, I see it.
Okay, I was going to tape record the statement. All right, it's case number 96554. It's an interview with Sharon Phillips. The reason is the fire which occurred at 209 Sherman Avenue on October 13th, 1994. We are presently parked in the fire investigative van on scene. Ms. Phillips, would you give me your full name, your date of birth, and your present address, please?
Sharon Elizabeth Phillips, 318 Platt Street, December 28, 1965.
Ms. Phillips, why are you in the vicinity of 209 Sherman Avenue today?
I was on my way to the Edgewood store,
Okay, and what time was that?
9:30,
How do you know it was 9:30?
because I had missed the bus, so I went into the store.
Louis, we got some newspaper and some knotted up material here stuffed under this couch. Why don't we get a marker, take a photo of it, and note it in the diagram.
All right.
And let's call the dog.
Okay. That'll be number 5. Let me shoot it.
Would that be Platt and Edgewood?
Right. As you turn the corner, you could see the house. I remember seeing the UPS man and another man walk past one another on the sidewalk.
All right, this other man, can you describe him? Is he white? Is he black? Hispanic?
He was white.
Think for a minute. As they passed each other, this other man, the white man, is he the same size as the UPS guy? Is he taller? Is he shorter?
He was just the same size, I remember.
Mike, over here on this corner of the couch, we have some newspaper stuffed under that end. Would you run the dog through there?
Okay. Police, on work. See? 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 Show me? Show me? Show me? Ed, something over here.
Okay.
We have what we believe is a blood sample from Robert Georgia. Okay, up in this area here.
Excuse me, Detective Roch.
Yes, sir.
That neighborhood kid, Jermaine, the one who had his bike knocked over by
remember.
the yellow car. Okay, he says he just saw the car again. It's down the street. I even have a plate number for you.
Okay, where's the park? Around the corner?
Yeah, straight down. Also, we located the UPS man. He's standing over there by the van.
Okay, great job.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Detective Rachi.
Dick Carter.
Nice to meet you. It's been a long day. It's been a tough day. I'm sorry to keep you waiting.
No problem.
Do you deliver to New Haven every day?
Yes, I do.
Did you deliver a package today on Sherman Avenue?
Yes, sir.
Approximately what time was that?
Say approximately around 9 o'clock this morning.
Do you remember seeing anything unusual, anything suspicious?
Louis, there's no internal damage here. The connections are tight, and there's no heat behind this plate. I think we can eliminate this as a cause of the fire. And this is the last electric source in the room. Mark it, take a photo of it, and note it in the diagram.
All right, let me photograph.
He had a red flannel shirt, and he had a down vest on. I couldn't tell you exactly what color it was just dark. And he had a package, I believe, on one of his arms.
Okay. If you saw this individual again, would you be able to recognize him?
No, I don't think so. To be honest with you, I really don't want to get involved.
All right, I understand that. I know we held you up. I need to take a statement from you. How about if I let you use my phone? You can call your boss and explain to him that we held you up for a few minutes.
Well, if he gives me permission, I'll do it.
Okay, great.
So how long have you owned this building?
About 2 years now.
And your name again, sir?
Larry Puckett.
And could you tell me how you were notified about the fire?
I got a call from somebody in the neighborhood.
Do you know who that was?
No, I don't know.
Could you wait right here for me, sir?
Sure.
Thank you.
JP, how you making out?
Actually, I just started.
Okay, I need you to do one more favor for me.
Okay.
I need you to check all the local gas stations in the area, see if there's any small purchases of gasoline.
Okay.
Take care of that for me?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Eddie.
Yeah.
The dog just hit on a paper bag with some type of container inside. I need you and Louie to get down, photograph it, and collect it. Also, the dog hit on a guy in the crowd. He says his name is Larry Puckett, and he's the owner of this building.
All right, we'll be right up.
Okay.
First floor rear, that's apartment 1D. I just had some work done in there, some painting and drywall. I hope those guys didn't screw anything up.
Well, I'll talk to them about it. Who's the occupant of that apartment 1B?
That's Tina Booker. She's a college student, nice kid.
Do you know where she is now?
No, she moved out for a couple of days while they're working on her apartment.
Is there any way for me to get in touch with her?
No. Well, you know, I could check the lease. I think her parents are on it as co-signs. Their name and address should appear in the lease. I'll do that for you if you'd like.
Oh, I would appreciate that. Mr. Puckett, do you have any insurance on the building?
What you doing?
All right, so you said you're home all day working on your house today, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Did anyone see you while you were working on your house?
No, I don't think so. You know, maybe a neighbor or two.
Okay. Okay, you told Inspector Harris that you received a phone call and you learned about the fire at 209 Sherman?
Well, actually, I heard it on the radio. I've got a police scanner. I own quite a few properties in bad neighborhoods, so I like to keep track of what's going on.
Why didn't you say that before?
I don't know.
After you heard on the radio, you drove right over to 209 Sherman?
Yep, that's right.
And you drove?
Yes, sir, I did. I had to park my car down the street, though, because of all the traffic around here.
All right, just to confirm, you weren't in the area of 209 Sherman Avenue anytime this morning about 9:30?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, today, did you handle any flammable liquids, any gasoline, charcoal lighter fluid, paint thinner, anything along that line?
No. Why ask me that?
It's a standard part of the investigation. I'm trying to eliminate all the possibilities. I'd like you to take a look at this. I'd like to take a look in your car. This is a consent form. I want you to read this, and it gives us permission to enter your vehicle.
What's my car got to do with anything?
Again, just a standard part of the investigation procedure.
Hello, Ed Berman speaking.
Ed, Larry Puckett, Pine Street Realty.
Yes, Larry, how are you? What could I do for you today?
Well, I'm not so good right now. I just found out that there was a fire at a property I've insured through you. It's on Sherman Avenue, 209 Sherman. I just left there, and it looks pretty bad.
Was anyone hurt?
No, thank God everybody got out okay, but the first floor is totally destroyed, and the police think there was a break-in.
Okay, Larry, let me get some specifics here. You say the fire happened today.
Yeah, today, sometime before noon.
And how did you learn about the fire?
The police called me.
Let me pull the file on that property. Marianne, I need the...
Okay, so he says the entire first floor has been destroyed. There's a possible forced entry, maybe a burglary. What else?
He had some renovations done in there recently and increased the coverage. We haven't received the endorsement yet from you folks, so the numbers may be different when it shows up in your system. I'll fax you the new limits now.
Okay. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thanks. Barbara, we got a new fire coming up. Now, I know you're real busy, but...
Okay, fellas, I know it's been a long day, but before we leave, let's make sure we have everything we need. Eddie, we eliminated all the accidental causes?
Yeah, all accidental causes have been eliminated and documented.
All right, good. How about photographs?
Photographs, I photographed the exterior, and Louis photographed the interior and all physical evidence.
I also took some Polaroids of the interior as backups.
All right, great. Have a neighborhood canvas?
Yeah, we got a neighbor who puts a UPS guy here and a white male in the vicinity about the time of the fire. I got a kid that puts a big yellow car across the street in front of the store just before the fire. The building owner drives a Oldsmobile 98, color yellow. I need to talk to the occupant, especially 1B. She's gone. She'll be back here tomorrow. I also have to interview the building owner's neighbors. He's done some work in his house. I just want to confirm that he was here. That he was there today.
Okay, Eddie, what have we done with the physical evidence?
Physical evidence taken in a sample from the hallway rug where the dog hit, newspaper and a knotted material that was stuffed under the living room couch. The dog also hit on that. We're looking at fingerprints and a boot print from around the back door area. Forensics also sampled what appeared to be blood from that same area, and there was a tire track that was being looked at, and we're going to check it against the owner's vehicle.
You've noted all this in your diagram?
Well noted.
Okay, and you'll be bringing the evidence to the lab?
Tomorrow morning.
Vinny, what do we have on the owner?
Okay, I did a background on the building and the owner. He's cited for 2 recent building code violations, 1 for heat and 1 for lead paint. He's behind about 2 years in his taxes. By the way, he just had some renovations done. I need to speak with the contractors tomorrow.
Let's run it down again.
Okay, we need to interview the insured and get to see him tomorrow if possible. Get permission to board up the location, review the application and change in coverage limits.
Good.
Check with the police. Was there any forced entry, and if so, is there anything missing? Touch base with the fire marshal. See if he has any information available to us right now. Do the scope of loss and pricing.
Make sure to file a pillar.
Right, file the pillar. And the contractor. See when he was in the building last, and if he was using any flammable material. And if so, is there any chance of subrogation?
Excellent. And don't forget the tenants.
Yeah, I'll see what I can find out about the tenants in the apartment where the fire started. What else? The cause and origin expert. Do we want to hire our own?
Yeah, I think we should. Now, this is New Haven. We normally go with John Dello, but he's out of town right now. His backup is a guy by the name of Chris Todd. Ah, here it is. Let's take a look at this. Excellent credentials. He's certified, 20 years experience, and he's testified in state and federal courts. And he sent us some of his work product. It looks pretty good. Why don't you put a call into him right away? See if he can get out there now, and have him call us back immediately after he's done.
Would you like one?
No thanks, it's a little early for me.
I know. I'm trying to stop smoking. So did you find out yet what happened out there?
Well, we're working on it, and we have our investigator out there right now. I have a packet of information that I'd like to leave with you. I'd also like to spend some time to go over some of the more important items in the packet. I have a tape recorder, and I'd like to record this interview, if that's all right.
That's okay. But do I have to read all this?
It's pretty straightforward, really. The most important thing we have to do is inspect the lost site. I'd like you to get a contractor out there to do an evaluation of the damage to the building. Let me know who the contractor is, and I'll work with him to get a fair estimate of repairs to the building. Now, I know you have tenants who are displaced from the property, and I'm sure that's of some concern to you.
Yeah, thank God no one got hurt. But I have 0 income coming in from this property right now, and I have a mortgage to pay. Is this going to take long to settle?
Well, I'll be working with you as quickly as possible to settle the scope of the claim. But to do that, I need to document the facts of the loss. So I appreciate you meeting with me so quickly.
No problem.
I'd like to go over 2 of the more important forms, the non-waiver agreement and the financial authorization form. Could we look at those for a minute?
Sure.
When were you in the building last?
Last week, Tuesday. I was in there to see about some repairs.
What kind of repairs?
Plumbing, sheetrock, painting.
Who did the work?
A local contractor. I've used him before. Caputo. Ralph, Caputo.
Were these repairs in the area of the fire?
Near it? Hell yes. That's the same apartment that burned. If he or any of his crew screwed up out there.
Well, when was the contractor in there last?
Tuesday and Wednesday this week.
I'll definitely want to talk to him. Lastly, who had keys to the apartment?
There were 2 sets. The tenant had a set and I had a set. But on the day of the fire, my keys were with Caputo, the contractor. I gave them to him so he could do the repairs I mentioned earlier.
Okay, so there were 2 sets of keys to the apartment. Before we conclude the interview, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Nope.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Puckett. Here's my card. Call me anytime. If I'm not there, just leave a voicemail. I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Hey, Eddie. Chris, good to see you. This is Barbara Guess.
Nice to meet you.
Hello, Barbara. She's an adjuster with AG Primary Insurance, and I'm working the fire at 209 Sherman Avenue for them. We just left the fire scene. I took some samples, and I also took a section of flooring out of the living room. I wanted to stop by and let you guys know in case you went back over there for any reason who has the floor.
Did you cover it?
I did. I put a door over it and nailed it down.
That's great.
I also took a sample of rug from the hallway, and we're going to submit that to our lab for analysis. Hey, Ed, the first-in companies at 209 Sherman, when are they back on duty?
Engine Company 9, Division 4. It's tomorrow night after 6. We're continuing our investigation, and there's a possibility that we're going to need a copy of your file. If we find that we have to submit a immunity letter, to whom do we send it?
You can just send it to me. Here's my card.
Thank you.
Ed, I'm going to go upstairs and see if I can get copies of the run report. While I'm up there, would you mind if I used your telephone? I told Barbara's supervisor to call when we left 209 Sherman.
Sure, that's no problem.
Thank you. I'll be upstairs, Barbara.
Okay, thanks. Inspector, we were at the scene of the fire today, and we did a quick canvass of the neighborhood. There's a woman across the street from 209 Sherman, a Mrs. Witherspoon. I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to her, but she's very cooperative. She says she saw 2 boys hanging around the back of the building, and she thinks they had something to do with the fire.
Okay, great, thanks. What's next? 209 Sherman Avenue. Barbara, what do we have on it?
Well, our insured's name is a Mr. Larry Puckett, and he lives at 1153 Nealon Street. The building that burned is a house he operates under the name of Pine Street Realty. The policy was originally issued 2 years ago at $120,000 in limits, but was very recently increased to $160,000. I thought this was suspicious, so I contacted Ed Berman, the agent. Turns out the policy is coming up for renewal, and Ed discussed increasing the limits with the insured, taking into account some recent renovations to the building and some ongoing renovations. Also, our investigator has confirmed that the fire was incendiary, so I've taken samples and had them sent to the lab. I've interviewed the insured and the tenant. I've also reviewed the underwriting file. There's one problem with the application. It's not signed. Signature on file is all I have.
That's a real problem. Agents just don't seem to understand that a signature on file is not binding. We really need to do something about that. Okay, Barbara, what else do you have?
Well, the insured states he was at home on the day of the fire doing some repairs around his house, and that he first learned of the fire from a call he received from the police department. And this was about noon. He says he left his house immediately and went to the scene of the fire and identified himself to the police. Now, the apartment was unoccupied on the day of the fire. Our insured asked the tenant to vacate so some repairs could be done to the building. Contractors were scheduled to be working in the building just prior to the fire. Our insured voiced some concern that they were responsible in some way for the fire. I talked to the contractor. It turns out he got held up at a previous job and never made it to 209 Sherman. They were never in the building and no work was done. The insured says the police think there was a break-in.
Did you talk to the police?
Yes, I spoke to a Detective Rachi. He confirmed a possible forced entry, and he took the entire door frame as evidence. So it left very little for our investigator to look at. I talked to the tenant after she had a chance to go back into the home. She couldn't identify anything as being missing. She said she had a TV, a stereo, and some computer equipment. Our investigator found all these amongst the debris. He even found a jewelry box.
With the jewelry still in it?
Yes. The tenant confirms Mr. Puckett asked her to vacate the apartment so some repairs could be done. She was staying with her parents on the day of the fire. I interviewed them as well. They said all the furniture was secondhand, nothing of value. The thing they were most concerned about was her schoolwork. She's a senior and due to graduate this year, and this could really hurt her.
Any previous losses?
His application says none in the past 5 years. I'm waiting for the pillar report to come back to confirm that. I touched base with the fire officials. His case is still under investigation, but we may be getting an immunity letter from them. What do you want to do next?
Where do we want to go with this? The tenant, this college girl.
Tina Booker.
Yeah, Tina Booker. She seem okay to you?
Yes, like I said, I interviewed her and her parents. Nothing seems unusual or suspicious.
I take it she's not married.
No.
Does she have a boyfriend that's angry with her, or any recent arguments with anybody else, or an incident that may have caused somebody to want to get even with her?
I'll check it out.
You mentioned our insured runs a realty agency. Does he have any other policies with us?
No.
Anything unusual in the underwriting file?
Apart from the close timing of the recent increase in coverage, no. In his application, Mr. Puckett lists a total of 8 properties. 209 Sherman Avenue is the only one on our books. I contacted the mortgage company listed on his application. He's had an occasional late payment or two, which isn't unusual considering today's economy. And technically, he's a month late now.
Okay. Well, we do have an incendiary fire. We want to eliminate our insured as having any motive or opportunity as quickly as possible. First, let's verify his presence at home on the day of the fire. Have our investigator do a canvass of the neighborhood. Second, check City Hall. Let's get a tax history on this property. Look for housing code violations, liens, anything like that. And while you're at it, check the other properties as well, see what comes up on them. And third, get hold of our insured's financial records. Let's verify those loss on rents, okay?
Okay.
Great.
Sample number 3. This is the carpet. We did some GC mass spec analysis. Show the presence of gasoline. Sample number 5. The fire debris. We also did some GC mass spec analysis. Show the presence of gasoline.
Hey, Doc, what exactly is a GC mass spec?
GC mass spec is an instrument. We heated the debris inside a can, and the vapors are absorbed on a charcoal tube. Then we flush the tube with a solvent, and a portion of that material is injected into a GC chromatograph, which is linked to a mass spectrograph. The result is a GC mass spec chart with recognizable peaks and valleys. Gasoline has a specific pattern which is unique and can be differentiated from any other type of accelerant. Next, the tool mark. We did a microscopic examination of wood. From the door frame you submitted, we found the tool mark was on the inner surface of the lock, which indicates the force was from inside the door, not outside. The compression marks, diameter, and the pattern indicates it could be from a screwdriver. We then made a microscopic comparison between the testing mark made by the tip of the suspect's screwdriver and with the compression mark you collect from the fire scene. And the striation marks matched perfectly. Now, what about a blood sample? Serology exam the sample you collect from the door frame. Did some serology and DNA testing versus the sample from your suspect. First, we found it's definite human blood. The sample from the fire scene is type A. So is your suspect, is type A. Then we did some PGM. The sample from the scene is 1+, and your suspect have the same type. We took one step further, did some DNA testing. We did the yield gel to tell us how much and what type of quality of DNA we have. The DNA extracted from your sample was documented under UV examination. We did some RFLP tests. In addition, we also performed a PCR test. This procedure allows us to amplify, making copies of the small amount of DNA. In this case, the sample you collect from the fire scene and the sample from the suspect have identical DNA typing.
This sounds pretty incriminating, doesn't it?
Yes, let's put it this way. Approximately 43% of the population have type A. 10% have PGM 1+. If we multiply 43% times 10%, give you 4.3% random population have the same type. With additional DNA result, D-alpha, polymarker, D1S80, D5S100. The combination of those typing results in a random population, male Caucasian, is 1 in 17 million.
Just a reminder, we received the insured's proof of loss statement yesterday, which means we have 60 days to respond, and the clock is ticking, okay? So, here's what we know. Our expert has concluded that this fire was incendiary. He's also verified that there's evidence of a forced entry. Now, we spoke to the tenant, and she states she can find nothing missing. Of course, the forced entry could have been staged as a cover-up, we just don't know. We looked at the tenant, Tina Booker. She's 21, college student. Her parents confirmed she was home visiting on the day the fire took place, and frankly, I just don't see a motive for her setting the fire. Other people who had keys to the apartment include her parents, her boyfriend, a local contractor, and the landlord, who was our insured. We looked at the boyfriend. He was away at college out of state on the day the fire happened. And we looked at the contractor. Now, he was scheduled to do work in the building that day, but he got hung up at another job site and just never even made it inside. And last, we looked at the insured. Barbara?
Okay, the insured's application stated he had no previous losses in the past 5 years. Well, the pillar came back, and it's showing 2 additional fire-related losses with 2 different insurance carriers in that same time period. I have supporting documentation from the responding fire departments, and I'm checking with the prior insurance carriers regarding those claims. Now, our accountant has gone over the profit and loss statement, the tax returns, and cash flows. Bottom line, this guy was losing money on this property.
Are the losses real, or is it depreciation?
I don't know.
Get back to the accountant. Let's clarify that. Go on to the building history.
We checked with City Hall. He's been cited for multiple housing code violations, and in fact was under court order to bring the Sherman Avenue property up to code by the end of the month in which the fire occurred. Our search turned up 2 additional liens not listed on the application. The second and third mortgages were taken out within the past year. It would appear our insured has very little equity in this property.
That goes to motive. What about opportunity?
Well, our investigator did a canvass of the insured's neighborhood, and he found 2 teenage boys working on their car in their driveway on the day of the fire. They say the insured left his house about 9 o'clock and returned over an hour later. I took a recorded statement from them, and yes, before you ask, I got permission from their parents.
Good.
Did you get a non-waiver? Has that been executed?
That and the financial authorization, both fully explained and executed. They're in the file.
Well, why don't we give Mr. Puckett a chance to explain some of these discrepancies? Check your calendars. Let's schedule an examination under oath as soon as possible. Mr. Puckett, you're not being very cooperative with us. You haven't delivered the financial documents that we asked for. Now you're unwilling to clarify these conflicting statements about how you learned about the fire.
Quite frankly, my client's recollection of the issues is unclear at this time. As you're aware, he has a right to refuse comment on these matters.
Well, perhaps he can help us with this issue. In this proof of loss statement, you listed the only mortgage on 209 Sherman Avenue was with First Choice Bank and Trust. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Well, sir, I'd like to show you an abstract of your deed that we got from the county courthouse, which indicates that on June 2nd of last year, you took out a second mortgage for $25,000 with Gamel Business Associates. Is that not accurate? And here is a third mortgage on the same property dated August 18th of that same year with LHR trusteeship for an additional $25,000. Is this not accurate?
I'd like to go off the record at this time. I'd like an opportunity to talk to my client for a minute privately before we continue.
Mary, we're coming up on the end of the 60-day window to act on this case. I don't know what more we can do. It's clearly an incendiary fire. We checked his story, corroborated the facts, and determined he made material misrepresentation in the application and in the examination under oath. He failed to cooperate in a number of areas, and we have very strong circumstantial evidence to indicate he may have set this fire. He has financial motive, and we have witnesses that say he wasn't at home when he claims he was. It's all been documented, and it's all been done by the book. I want to deny this claim. I'd like you to draft a letter and send it over to me to look at before it goes out.
Investigator, I'd like to ask you to look at what's been marked Exhibit 23 for identification. Would you please look at that? Were you present when that photograph was taken?
Yes, I took the photograph.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the area of origin of this fire?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I'd offer it as a full exhibit.
Your Honor, I have some questions about the validity of these photographs. May I question the witness?
You may.
Thank you. Investigator Todd, have you taken any courses in photography or had any formal training in this area?
No.
Are you familiar with this document? It is a guide to fire and explosives investigations prepared by the National Fire Protection Association. It's commonly referred to as NFPA 921.
Yes, I'm familiar with the document.
And is this a document that you use to guide you in your fire investigations?
Yes, among other reference materials.
Now, Investigator Todd, this document indicates that fire investigators such as yourself should take courses in photography. Yet you've told us that you have no such training. Incidentally, what type of camera did you use when you took these photographs?
I used a Pentax Sure Shot.
Oh, you used one of those idiot cameras, is that correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Investigator, did you use what is commonly called a point-and-shoot camera?
Yes.
And isn't that a camera for people who really aren't very good at taking photographs?
Objection.
Sustained. Watch your step, counsel.
I'm sorry. Investigator Todd, did you use a detached flash when you took these photographs?
No, I did not.
You did not. I'm going to refer to this document, and specifically, I'm going to refer to page 54, section 8-2, 2.6. It reads, flash units are necessary for the fire investigator's work. The flash unit should be removable from the camera body. This practice is valuable in reducing the amount of reflection, exposing more depth, and amplifying the texture of the heat and flame-damaged surfaces. Does any of that sound familiar, Investigator?
Yes, I'm familiar with that section, and that document, sir, is a guide. It suggests the use of that type flash equipment when there are no windows or other sources of external light. That was not the case in this situation.
The photographs are admitted. Let's continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. With the court's permission, could the witness come down from the stand so that we can show the photo to the jury?
The witness may step down.
Your Honor, may I approach, please?
You may.
Investigator, would you hold the photograph so that each of the jurors Can see it. Where were you when this photograph was taken?
I was in the living room at number 209 Sherman Avenue in New Haven.
Using this photograph, which is Exhibit 23, can you point out the significant areas which you believe show where this fire started?
Exhibit 23 depicts the couch in the living room. Adjacent to the couch is a computer table. In this particular area, I noted a very unusual and deep char pattern which ran diagonally across the living room floor and to a doorway on the opposite side of the room, onto a rug in the hallway which led to a kitchen.
Why is that significant?
It's significant because it suggests the use of a trailer, which is a flammable or combustible liquid that's used to spread fire from one location to another.
Did you do anything else?
Yes, I did. Next, I conducted what's known as an overhaul. That's the removal of all furniture and contents from the room. This exhibit, number 27, is a blow-up photograph of the room after the overhaul process was complete. You'll note that in the area where the computer table was located, a deep char that runs diagonally across the floor to a doorway on the opposite side of the room.
Thank you, investigator. Your Honor, may the witness resume the stand.
You may.
Investigator, you stated that you overhauled the room. Before you did that, did you do anything to document the scene?
Yes, I collected samples.
Is this when sample in exhibit number 10 for identification was collected?
Yes, it is.
Can I have exhibit 10 for identification, please? Investigator, showing you it was previously marked as exhibit 10 for identification. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Where do you recognize that from?
Exhibit 10 is a can that I used to collect a sample of debris from the living room floor at 209 Sherman Avenue.
Can you open that container and make sure that the contents are intact and the same as when you collected them?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, may this be offered as a full exhibit?
Objection, Your Honor. Chain of custody.
Your Honor, chain of custody has been established through previous witnesses.
The objection is overruled. It's admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Investigator, would you please examine the contents of the container? Do you recognize any odor from the can?
Yes, I do. I recognize the odor of gasoline.
Your Honor, may the can be passed to the jury?
It may.
Your Honor, out of the presence of the jury, we've previously marked and qualified as a full exhibit, Exhibit 12. Could I now question the witness about that?
Proceed.
Investigator, Exhibit 12, which is a section of rug, where did you take that from?
It came from the hallway adjacent to the living room of apartment 1B at 209 Sherman Avenue.
Why did you take this piece of rug?
It showed unusual burn patterns.
Why is that important to you as a fire investigator?
It's important because those patterns were consistent with the use of a flammable liquid.
Could you tell us a little more about that?
Yes, the exhibit shows an area where flammable liquid was poured, and it distinguishes those areas from other areas of the rug where no liquid was poured.
What is this area called?
It's called a pour pattern.
Is this the actual pour pattern?
Yes, it is.
Is this the result of a trailer?
Yes, it is.
Investigator Todd, what is your opinion as to how this fire was started?
Based on the physical evidence, my examination of the fire scene, and the elimination of all reasonable accidental causes, it is my opinion that this fire was intentionally set.
Investigator Todd, is it your testimony that because you observed that one area of rug was burned more than another area of rugs, that you believe some type of trailer, I believe you called it, was used to deliberately set this fire?
The burned areas formed a pattern that was consistent with the use of a trailer, yes.
I'd like to refer back to this guide for Fire Investigations, NFPA 921. It is true that you use this guide as a resource in your investigations. Is that correct?
Yes, among other resource materials.
I'm referring back to page 38, section 418.2. It reads, often when the floor area is cleared of debris to examine damage, long, wide, straight patterns will be found showing areas of extensive heat damage bounded on each side by undamaged or less damaged areas. These patterns have often been interpreted to be trailers. While this is possible, these patterns may also result from wear on the floors and the floor covering due to high traffic. Irregularly shaped objects on the floor, such as clothing or bedding, may also provide protection and produce patterns that may be inaccurately interpreted. Were you aware of this, investigator?
Yes, I was.
Isn't this section really saying that any number of things could have caused the burn patterns that you observed?
No, not in my opinion.
Isn't it true that merely seeing that some areas of rug are more deeply burned than other areas is not clear and convincing evidence that a trailer or flammable liquid was used?
Well, that's true, sir. The things you alluded to are correct. However,
Thank you. You've answered that question. May we move on?
Objection, Your Honor. He asked the question. The witness was trying to answer, and I think he was cut off before he finished. May he please be allowed to finish?
The witness may continue.
Thank you. Sir, in this case, I point to Exhibit 27. You will notice in the photograph that the irregular pattern goes from one corner of the room to the other. It moves diagonally across the floor to a doorway and onto a rug which leads to the kitchen. The pattern is very distinct. There is nothing that I could determine existed in that room either prior to the fire or following the fire that could have caused that pattern. In my opinion, that was caused by a flammable or combustible liquid. And sir, you will note that 921 also says that such patterns are caused by intentionally spreading ignitable liquids or solids or a combination thereof. And this, sir, in my opinion, is what exactly what caused that fire.
In summary, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, there is no credible evidence to deny the claim made by my client, Mr. Puckett. There is no eyewitness in this case. At best, the insurance company's investigation is based upon speculation, conjecture, and guesswork. What didn't they do? They didn't follow the NFPA guidelines at every turn in the road. They didn't bring in an electrical expert to eliminate an electrical cause of this fire. Who did they bring in? They brought in Investigator Todd, the same old hack that they bring in these cases. And what does he say to you? He says that it's arson. The only arson in this case, ladies and gentlemen, is that insurance company burning my client of the money that he is justly entitled to. This case is in your hands. You have an opportunity to right the wrong that's been done by AG Primary and to restore to my client, Mr. Puckett, what he's entitled to. Thank you.
Mr. Puckett's own key locks him up inside this house and shows that he's the one who set the fire. I remind you of 3 simple criteria: motive, means, and opportunity. The motive is financial. Only Mr. Puckett stood to gain financially from this fire, both from an insurance settlement and also in the form of relief from an otherwise money-losing property. Mr. Puckett had the opportunity. He knew. In fact, he specifically arranged for the tenant not to be home when the fire started. And we presented 2 witnesses from his neighborhood stating that Mr. Puckett was not home during the crucial hour just before the fire was reported. We presented testimony that a yellow car similar to Mr. Puckett's was seen in the vicinity of 209 Sherman Avenue just before the fire. Finally, Mr. Puckett had the means. We've shown that the door was forced open from the inside. Obviously, this was an attempt to hide the fact that the arsonist was somebody with access to the building. We've eliminated all other key holders. Mr. Puckett's key allowed him access to the property, allowed him to fake a forced entry by ripping the lock off from the inside in such a way no one on the street could see him. Finally, the pour pattern on the floor, on the rug, tell the story about how this fire was started using an ignitable liquid trailer that quickly spread the flame from one area to another. This key is the key to the case. The only key holder with motive, means, and opportunity is Mr. Puckett. The key is the key.